Since my video about French Quarter Airbnb, a lot of people have asked why short-term rentals are bad or have argued they're good. So let's dig into this a bit. Now, when Airbnb launched, I was a fan. I thought it would be the small guys fighting against the big hotel industry. But over a decade, that industry has changed. And I've seen the reality of what short-term rentals are and have become, and my opinion has changed. And I hope yours does too. There's a lot of problems with short-term rentals. Starting off with the broadest issue, which is that it takes housing stock away from people who could purchase the property or rent it full-time. That causes a cascade of other issues. It increases rent prices for other available properties, which push out lower and middle-income people, who, especially in a city like New Orleans, are the people who make the city an interesting place to live and who actually make it a tourist destination. This is largely because of who actually owns Airbnbs now. It's not the artist renting out their second bedroom or the young family renting the other side of their shotgun. The overwhelming majority of short-term rentals are owned by big property owners or even private equity, where this is the business. And so when you have many properties within the neighborhood that aren't filled with people who live there, you change the entire fabric of that neighborhood. You change who would want to live there, the types of businesses that can be sustained there, and what it means to be a part of the community. There's this misconception that tourists and Airbnbs spend more money in neighborhoods than residents in an apartment do. And that isn't true, and they also spend that money very differently. Tourist money is good for some businesses, but it doesn't sustain the types of business that are actually needed for a community to thrive, right? It doesn't sustain the corner store, or a grocery store, or a mechanic, or any service-based business the residents of a community spend their money in and day out. For tourist dollars to really matter, you need a critical mass in a contained area, which is why the French Quarter works so well. One of the key components to that is that hotels provide much better density than short-term rentals. Instead of a 2,000 square foot house, the same people stay in a 300 square foot room. This allows for an entire neighborhood of short-term rentals to exist in one vertical building. They then spend their money in the area right around the hotel, allowing for tourist-based businesses to exist where tourists are, and neighborhood businesses to exist in the neighborhoods. The last thing is, I know some people are going to say, it's my house, I should be able to do what I want with it. And no, you shouldn't. Just because you own something doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want with it. We own cars, but there are laws around how we can drive them. And if you own property, there are zoning laws. They protect all of us from the bad judgment and greed of others. And so these laws are now protecting us from the negative impacts of short-term rentals. And that's why I think it's so important that this continues into the future. We continue to preserve our neighborhoods while also allowing for our tourist industry to thrive.